Russian Asian energy, which is very important for countries like Korea. Here is what I said last class. Number one, Russia has a strategy to move the export center to the Asian region. But gas strategy hasn't led to any substantial outcome. Okay, but in terms of oil, Russia has been much more successful. Second point, Russia-China oil relationship is evolving very fast. Right, that's number 2 point. Russian-China oil relationship has a lot of potential. That's number 2 point. Russia-China oil relationship. Right? ESPO is the center. Right? The East Siberian oil pipeline, ESPO, is the center. Right? ESPO is linking East Siberia to the Pacific coast. Right? ESPO is linking East Siberia to the Pacific port. ESPO has two sides. Okay, in the middle of ESPO, Russia built spur pipeline, branch pipeline to China. Right. So ESPO has two main collection points. One is China in the middle. Second, Pacific port. Pacific port is looking at many different consumers. Cozumino, right? Cozumino port looks at many different consumers, not China alone. Okay, many different consumers. That's the advantage of the Pacific export, right? Who are the consumers from the Pacific port? Japan, Korea, even China. China buys oil also from Pacific port, right? So Japan, Korea, China, even the U.S., Thailand, Singapore. So many different countries buy oil or Russian oil from the Pacific port. Okay? So from the Russian perspective, Pacific port much more advantageous than the China branch line. Right? Now, I think there was one additional important point about this. After shale oil revolution, the U.S. is reducing imports of Russian oil from the Pacific port. That's additional point. That's not what I said. That's what this textbook said. This textbook emphasized the U.S. after shale revolution reduced imports from Russia, from Cozumino. Then what will happen? Then Russia is going to export more, right, to China. That's the effect of shale. I think I covered everything about Russian oil. How much oil are we talking about? ESPO line, the entire ESPO capacity is 600,000 barrels per day. The entire capacity, 600,000 barrels per day. Evenly divided, right? Evenly divided between China branch pipeline, Pacific port, right? Half to the branch, China branch, half to the Pacific port, right? So S4 has two stages, right? Two construction stages. The first stage one of S4 completed December 2010. Completed December 2010. So January 2011, China began to import Russian oil from the branch pipeline. January 2011. 300,000 barrels of Russian oil moving down to China from the ending point of stage one of S4, Skоворodino. From Skоворodino, then going down to Daching, 900 kilometers. From Skоворodino down to Daching, 900 kilometers. Right? China funded the building of this pipeline. So this is S4 1. S4 1 is for China, right? But S4 2 was completed December 2012, right? All the way to the Pacific port of Cozumino. That was built, completed December 2012. 2 years, 2 more years. 2 more years. Then what happened? What had happened during these 2 years? Railroad. Railroad carried oil to the Pacific port Cozumino until December 2012. 300,000 barrels of oil was shipped through railroad, train. Now it's okay. Right? Now it's moving through pipeline. So S4 2 completion is a big event. Is a big event. Russia can export more oil to the Pacific port. And more oil is moving now. Much more than 600,000. So who is the owner of the main stakeholder of this Russian-China oil negotiations? CNPC, right? CNPC and Transneft, Russian company Transneft. I think oil stuff has been pretty much covered. And December 13, several important things happened. 2013. The year 2013, many important things happened between Russia and China. According to this chapter, if you read, Xi Jinping, Putin met March and again June, right? March 2013, June 2013, there were important news about energy, right? June 2013, China decided to buy much more oil from Russia. Okay, so according to this chapter, as of 2013, 450,000 barrels of oil moving down to China branch. As of 2013, right? Much more than 300,000 barrels. So at the moment, 450,000 barrels of oil moving down to China. And in the Xi Jinping-Putin meeting, ultimately China is going to buy 1 million barrels of oil from Russia. Sooner or later, 1 million barrels. That was discussed between two presidents. 1 million barrels of oil, right? Which means China becomes number one importer from Russia, from Russian perspective. Currently, Germany is the biggest importer from Russia, oil importer. But China will replace Germany if China buys 1 million barrels from Russia. So this is the general mood between Russia and China. Russia-China becoming closer and closer about oil. Now, I mentioned Russian plan, Russian energy plan, blueprint to 2030, right? Blueprint 2030. That was announced 2009. According to that blueprint, Russia is going to export oil 30% to the Asia-Pacific region. 30% of Russian oil exports will go to the Asia-Pacific to 2030. Natural gas, 25% of Russian natural gas will go to the Asia-Pacific region. That's the plan, right? But now, around, depending on country, but around, in terms of oil, around 8%, 9% that level. Natural gas, much smaller than that. So Russia has a long way to go to reach that goal. But China will play a very important role in reaching this goal, right? Reaching this goal. Now, natural gas. Russian natural gas exports to NEA or the Asia Pacific. I said natural gas is much less successful than oil exports. Oil is moved through export, right? How is Russia exporting natural gas to the Asia Pacific or NEA, Northeast Asia? How is Russia exporting natural gas to NEA, China, Korea, Japan? Not PNG, LNG. Okay, LNG. Russia is exporting natural gas to China, Korea, Japan in the form of LNG, not PNG. Okay, I want to make sure, not PNG. LNG from where? Which region? Sakhalin. Okay, Russia has several natural gas production centers, right? Number one, West Siberia. This is traditional natural gas place, West Siberia. East Siberia, right? Then Sakhalin. So these three natural gas production regions in Russia. West Siberia is normally for European countries. Production for West Siberia for European countries because it's closer. East Siberia, not developed yet, right? Not developed yet. They have planned to develop, right? But East Siberia is for the Asia Pacific consumers. When East Siberia developed, that must go to the Asia Pacific consumers, right? And Sakhalin. Currently, natural gas is produced only, I must not say only, but mostly from Sakhalin, offshore, Sakhalin offshore. Then this natural gas from Sakhalin is exported through ships, LNG. What is this project called? Sakhalin 2. Sakhalin 2. And who are the consumers? Main consumer, the biggest consumer of Sakhalin 2 LNG is Japan. In the PowerPoint, you can see that, Japan, right? 8.5 million ton. When did Russia begin to export LNG from Sakhalin? 2009. For the first time. Russia had never exported LNG before 2009. Only 2009 did Russia begin to export LNG. So 2009 is the beginning year of Russian LNG export to Japan, mainly to Japan. Then Korea, a little bit for China, right? A little bit for China. Very short distance, but ships moving between Russia and China, right? Korea also very close. Very short distance, Right? Shipping cost very small. Then America, Thailand, Singapore, many countries buy LNG from Sakhalin-2. Now, Russia, China again. Russia wants to expand natural gas production, right? Some from Sakhalin, like Sakhalin-3, right? Sakhalin-3 and 1, Sakhalin-1. So a little bit more expansion from Sakhalin, but mostly Russia wants to expand natural gas production from East Siberia. East Siberia, because East Siberia has lots of natural gas, right? So Irkutsk, in the PowerPoint, they have it. Irkutsk, right? Then you have Yakutsk, right? Chayanda. These are big fields, natural gas fields, but only plan. Only plan, right? And first, Russia must develop natural gas from East Siberia, then also link it to export terminals through pipeline. So first production, then infrastructure, right? So linking all these production centers through pipelines, right? President Putin is very ambitious about this production and infrastructure building, very ambitious. And he's quite systematic. He's quite, he has all the plans already. Okay, I'm not sure about the money, but he has all the plan. And sometimes it looks like his plan will come true. The message he's giving, because Korea is a good example. I mean, Russia was proposing all these attractive gas business proposals, then show to Koreans that they have already finished the construction of the pipeline, right? So some of these pipelines have been completed without production. Some of these pipelines have been completed, like I said, the SKV pipeline, Sakhalin, Khabarovsk, Vladivostok. Like I said, oil collection point is Kozmino, but natural gas collection point is Vladivostok, right? All the gas collects Vladivostok. From East Siberia moving to Vladivostok, Yakutsk, Vladivostok, Sakhalin linking to Khabarovsk, then Vladivostok. So Vladivostok, everything collects here. So the Korean pipeline linked to Vladivostok, SKV, then Korea. Sakhalin, Khabarovsk, Vladivostok, Korea. That's the line. And YKV is Yakutsk down to Khabarovsk, then meet SKV, down to Korea. Right? So this gas plan, little bit going slow, then East Siberia, Sakhalin, one more additional production place, which is Arctic. This chapter has it. This chapter discusses the Arctic, like a very prospective natural gas production will be done in Timan, Pichora Basin. The first page here, Timan Pichora Basin. This textbook gives actually 3 very prospective natural gas production candidates, like East Siberia, close to Asia country, Yamal Peninsula. Yamal is in the West Siberian region. Russians will going to, they are going to produce much more from Yamal, West Siberian. So Yamal Peninsula, then Timan Pichora. Timan Pichora is Arctic. These 3, East Siberia, Yamal Peninsula, and Timan Pichora. These are 3 big natural gas production centers. They didn't add Sakhalin here because compared to these West Siberian, East Siberian, Tima Picture Arctic, Sakhalin is very small. In fact, very small. But Sakhalin, the advantage of Sakhalin is much more flexible because it's LNG. Right? LNG is very flexible, has a lot of advantages. But problem with Sakhalin is reserves are smaller than West Siberia, East Siberia, and Arctic. Probably the biggest source will be the Arctic. Arctic will be the biggest one, but the cost will be the highest. So, yes, I think I covered. This is what I said last time. Natural gas, oil. And this chapter is good about covering Russia, China. China, Korea, Japan, CJK, they compete to get the most of Russian oil and natural gas. They compete, they're competing. So how China, Japan, Korea, they compete to get the upper hand in terms of Russian oil and gas exports. That's, I think, the most important thing in looking at this region, Russia and the Asia-Pacific energy relations, because Asian region is different from European region. Europe, you have European Union, right? Although European Union sometimes only on the paper, but at least you have the institution and you have some functioning energy policy, right? Universal energy policy that covers all the European countries. But here in Asia, we don't have that. Only individual country approach, that's all. So China approaches Russia, Korea approaches Russia, and Japan approaches Russia. That's it. CJK doesn't have anything above country level. Nothing coordinates these three countries. So only bilateral relations exist here. Right? And this helps Russia. These bilateral negotiations help Russia because Russia always divides and rules in this non-regional type of format in this region. So I said Korea, Russia gas negotiations stopped, right? And pipeline construction stopped, right? We had, again, pricing gap. Japan is very active now. Japan-Russian relations, very active, natural gas relations. And Japan is investing particularly in the LNG facility. LNG facility in Vladivostok, most funding comes from Japan. Most funding. So the general, I think, pattern here is China investing a lot into PNG structure with Russia, natural gas PNG structure. That's what China is doing. Instead, Japan is investing a lot into LNG, import-export facility. I think this is probably, this divided picture describes Russian-Asian energy relations. And before Sakhalin emerged as LNG export center, Russia had a big LNG export plan before 2009 from Arctic, Murmansk, close to northern Europe, right? The original LNG plan of Russia in the early 2000s, Russia developed natural gas from the Arctic Sea in the northern part of Europe, then exported from the Murmansk port. The major importer was supposed to be America, early 2000s, right? And that plan, again, permanently put on hold because of shale revolution. Then Russia shifted to Sakhalin, right? then exports natural gas from Sakhalin on a very small scale. Small scale. So Russian LNG dream, I think, has not come true because of U.S. shale revolution. Then Russia had to end up with this smaller scale Sakhalin LNG. Okay, this is where we left off. Central Asia and Eurasia. Again, Central Asia, Eurasia, I mean, major energy game. A very big energy game is being played in Central Asia. There are major, energy producers, then also surrounding major powers, right? China, Russia, Europe, America, right? They all compete to dominate a second Middle East, which is Central Asia. In general, Central Asia, in terms of export, Central Asia is, according to this textbook, is divided. Central Asian energy exporters, right? They are divided. Some countries are oriented to, in terms of export market, some countries are oriented to European countries, right? In terms of exporting market, some Central Asian countries look to European countries, right? And other countries look to Asian countries, right? So, according to this textbook, some countries to the east, like China. China is the major market, right? China is the major market. And others to the west, Europe, right? Countries that look to China will be Kazakhstan, right? Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan. Countries look to Western countries, Azerbaijan, European countries. Turkmenistan is a very interesting country. Turkmenistan is a very interesting country. Turkmenistan increasingly looks to China. Okay. Actually, Turkmenistan is very multi-directional. Turkmenistan particularly multi-directional, right? But nowadays, increasingly to China, is driven to China, to the direction of China, right? And South Asia. South Asia, right? This is the recent trend. But in general, Turkmenistan is, I think, attracted by all the surrounding regions and countries, right? But particularly China, particularly TAPI, this new pipeline TAPI, and more recently Iran, Turkmen-Iran gas relations, right? We'll look into some more details. This is an interesting thing. I'm just translating this from the textbook. The textbook says Russia might be competing with Turkmenistan over China. Right? This is a very ironic situation. Right? Russia wants to export natural gas to China. Turkmenistan also wants to export China. So naturally, Russia, Turkmenistan sort of might be competing to get the Chinese market. Right? The big debate about Central Asian energy, the biggest debate is Russia is weakening, right? Russia is weakening. Because Russia is the major stakeholder in this region for a long, long time, right? In terms of energy exports, everything, politics, security, military, right? Spiritually, they control this region, right? But Russia is weakening. I mean, whether or not Russia is weakening, that may be a better term. Is Russia weakening in this region? The second question, is China replacing Russia? But many articles today coming out like suggesting that China may be replacing Russia in this region. And Turkmenistan is presented as the best example of how China is replacing Russia. Because Turkmenistan is a very pivotal country in terms of China, Russia, America, Europe. When they compete for influence, Turkmenistan is most critical point, Turkmenistan, right? But China seems to expand most influence in Turkmenistan at the moment. And what's the role of America, the US? What's the role of the US? These are the big questions. Is China replacing Russia, right? Is Russia weakening? Or what's the role of America, right? And for that matter, EU, what's the role of EU? The biggest interest of EU is to to reduce Russian dependence. That's the biggest concern for Europeans. To reduce Russian influence, to build alternative pipeline. Right? That's the answer. Build alternative pipeline. Alternative pipeline from the southern region, from the southern direction, which is called Southern Gas Corridor. Right? This is European policy, to build a southern gas corridor from Azerbaijan, Middle Eastern, right? Even Iran is okay for Europeans. America is blocking Iran, but Iranian energy source for Europeans, it's okay, right? Iran is blocked because of US opposition. But Iran now is changing. Iran is changing. Iran, we have to see further, but Iran at the moment, they have given up on weapons plan, right? So America might loosen up on the blocking of exports, energy exports. So Iran might begin to export natural gas and oil, right? Then even Iran can, export oil and gas to European countries, right? Better than Russian energy. So that's Europe, right? That's Europe. Russia, in many places, Russia is presented as very losing. Russia is playing a very losing game in many respects. The Ukraine crisis, I think we need to see the upcoming news. But currently, who is to lose more? I think many newspapers suggest that Russia is to lose than to win, right? Russia is charging, more, higher prices for Ukraine. The gentleman asked the question, why Russia charging higher prices if Russia wants to, right, put them in their orbit, right? But Russia has, like European countries, Russia has already diversified a little bit. 2006, 2009, they had crisis, right? Similar crisis. Russia began to build alternative pipeline here and there, right? So it's okay currently. It's better to get around Ukraine from Russian perspective, right? So giving like ultimatum to Ukraine, whether to accept this ultimatum, like including the membership into Eurasian Union or customs union, right, for that matter, or pay higher energy prices. That's the ultimatum from Russian perspective. from Russian perspective, they have Nord Stream, or they have thinking of another, right, bypassing pipelines. They are building it. Europeans same, right? Problem for Russia is future projects in these potential production sites, very expensive. Very expensive. That's a problem. In terms of cost, reserves are huge there, but the problem is these are expensive projects, right? Natural gas prices are going down because of shale revolution. So how to meet these, international price, that's a problem for Russia. Right? Not in terms of, how much available. How much available is not a problem anymore, right? Every country has it. Every country has natural gas, right? So like I said, the great game is this, whether or not China is replacing Russia, right? From American perspective, to bring gas from Azerbaijan and Turkmenistan is important, right? But it must bypass Iran and Russia. Although about Iran, America, Europe divided. Like I said, Europeans, Iran is okay, but America, no, right? And more recent trend is Silk Road is being built from Central Asia down to Afghanistan, Pakistan, AFPAC, South Asia. So Central Asia, South Asia is being linked. That's more recent trend. This is American plan, in fact. This is American plan. And Turkey is a transit, right? Turkey, Georgia is a transit, very important partner in all this infrastructure plan. Kazakhstan and Azerbaijan, in terms of oil, natural gas, and oil projects, these two countries are a little bit different. A little bit different. Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan. Kazakhstan, most famous oil fields. Kazakhstan mostly oil, right? Natural gas very small. Kazakhstan mostly oil, right? And this oil, the most famous oil field Kazakhstan is what is the most famous Kazakhstan oil field?
It starts with a K, but
Karachaganak.
yes, yeah.
Karachaganak. Karachaganak is most famous oil field. And Tengiz. Tengiz oil field. And who develops these Kazakhstan oil fields? Mostly American oil companies. So Kazakhstan oil development is led by US international oil companies. On the other hand, Azerbaijan, UK, British companies, BP. BP is active in Azerbaijan. And usually when Western oil companies come into these countries, they make joint venture company. This is Kazakhstan joint venture company, TCO. Tengiz Chevron oil company, TCO. Right? So Chevron, Kazakhstan is Chevron. Azerbaijan is BP, British Petroleum. Turkmenistan, how about Turkmenistan? So Kazakhstan is the US. Azerbaijan, UK. Turkmenistan, neutral. Turkmenistan, no American company. No British company. Only smaller size, even Petronas, Brazilian companies are developing in Turkmenistan. Right? So Turkmenistan claim to be neutral. They don't want to be engaged in Russian, Chinese, American great game. Right? Uzbekistan is an interesting country. Uzbekistan. Very important country in Central Asia. Number one, Uzbekistan biggest population, 25 million people. Kazakhstan, second biggest country, 8 million, only 8 million, right?
No.
5?
16 million.
16?
16.
Oh, really? 16?
Yes.
Okay,
16.
much smaller than Uzbekistan, bigger than I thought. 16 million, Kazakhstan smaller than Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan, biggest country, 25 million. Problem that raises for Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan is big on natural gas. Okay, it's big on natural gas. Uzbekistan again, very multi-directional. Uzbekistan very much multi-directional. They don't want to be dominated by one country. Okay, so sometimes they shifting between major powers, right? And no dominant Western oil company, Western oil or gas company active in Uzbekistan. Currently, they are looking for investors to develop more natural gas, but the problem for Uzbekistan is there will be a lot of domestic consumption, right? Even if they develop natural gas, right? In terms of projection, how much natural gas can be produced from Uzbekistan or exported, maybe Uzbekistan can produce some, but export potential is not that big in Uzbekistan because of domestic demand is expected from Uzbekistan, right? That's the difference between Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan domestic demand is also a concern from Western perspective, right? Azerbaijan is the best country from Western perspective, right? Best country. This EIA table, oil production, right? Look at this. From 2000, in general, it's on the rise, right? Oil production from Caspian country, Central Asian region is on the rise. And a little bit plateau after 2011, right? And general 2.5, a little more than 2.5 million barrels of oil coming from Caspian. And this mostly 2.5, mostly Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan. Mostly, two countries. Right? Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan combined to produce about 2.5 million barrels of oil. Like I said, this one, Kazakhstan. Right? Kazakhstan. Azerbaijan. This is Azerbaijan. Right? So these two, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, biggest oil producers. Russia, very small. Russian production from Caspian, we are talking about Caspian region, very small. How about gas production? This is gas, natural gas. How much Caspian Sea has natural gas in terms of reserve? Although this is a 2006 figure, Russia number one in terms of reserves, Iran second, Qatar third, then comes Caspian. Natural gas, mostly Turkmen, right? Look at this, Turkmen has most natural gas in terms of reserve, not production, reserve. Then Azerbaijan, almost same, these three countries, in terms of reserves, right? Azerbaijan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan. But currently, Azerbaijan is producing most after Turkmenistan in terms of production. Uzbekistan, they want to produce more, looking for investors, right? But like I said, despite these reserves, export potential from Uzbekistan is not that big because of population size, right? Kazakhstan is becoming much more ambitious about natural gas production in the future. This is natural gas production figure. Natural gas production figure. This is Azerbaijan. Right? Azerbaijan. Kazakhstan. Turkmenistan. Right? Now, this shows the countries. Then who is investing? Which companies, which Western companies are investing, and field project name. Right? Now, Azerbaijan, the most famous project is called ACG. ACG, which is oil production, oil field, that was open very early, 1994, right? Very early, and produce, right? Not million. 1 million is awful figure, right? But they didn't meet 1 million, but more or less 500,000, right? 600,000, that level. They produce oil, ACG. Who is the operator? BP is the operator, right? BP is the operator. Now, this is important project, Shah Deniz. Shah Deniz. This is natural gas field. Natural gas field, right? And to remember Nabucco, TANAP, all this, the source natural gas from this field, Shah Deniz field, from Azerbaijan gas. Kazakhstan, Tengiz, very earliest oil field. Chevron developed that, right? Karachaganak, Kashagan is natural gas, much more natural. So Kazakhstan is moving from oil production to natural gas production. Turkmenistan, not famous big oil, and gas companies. Dragon Oil is developing here. Then I'm not sure which country's energy company this is. Then Uzbekistan. Now, okay, this map shows how Azerbaijani gas moving. This is the production site, natural gas produced here. Then there are several parallel pipelines, right? Parallel pipelines. Here, let's see. This is BP oil pipeline, the first one. Right? This is BP oil pipeline. This second one, oil pipeline. So starts in Baku, then pass the border, then gets into Georgia, then passing Tbilisi, Georgian capital, then move to Turkey, here. This is Turkish port. So this is BTC pipeline. Source oil is, like I said, ACG. ACG is source oil. So BP is operator. Here, very long pipeline, like a 7,000 kilometer pipeline. Here, moving here. This is BTC pipeline, like a 600,000 capacity, right? 600,000 capacity. Now, gas pipeline. This is gas pipeline. Let me see. This one, right? The red one. Natural gas produced here, right? Then move here. Then Erzurum, Turkey, right? This is gas pipeline. Georgia, again, important as a transit. then Turkey is important. Turkey here, I think TANAP begins here. Right? TANAP. TANAP must be linked here. So then Azerbaijan gas will move all the way to European countries. This is Shah Deniz. This is Azerbaijani Black Sea. This is Shah Deniz. This is much earlier oil field, ACG. Oil is produced here, natural gas produced here. And this will be the source natural gas for Nabucco, TANAP, post-Nabucco gas pipeline. And there are many other smaller projects, natural gas offshore, many offshore projects. And these are companies that participate in Shah Deniz gas field. BP, then Norway Statoil, right? TANAP is the major operator is Statoil, TANAP and TAP. So BP, Statoil, Norway, and SOCAR is Azerbaijani national oil company. SOCAR, Total, France, right? And Italy, Russia, they make a joint venture consortium. Then Iran is participating, and Turkey, right? There is no Korea. Then what does US want? What is US strategy? For the US, Central Asia or broader Eurasia is very important for many reasons. Because that's where Russia can sort of compete with China, Russia. Not only for Central Asia. What happens in Central Asia will determine global power. Right? That's how Americans see. Central Asia is important because geopolitically it's linking Middle East and South Asia. South Asia, linking Middle East, South Asia, then Central Asia. More and more. Americans see the value of Central Asia more from the perspective of linking Central Asia, South Asia. Right? That's how Americans see. So American policy is to make Eurasia, Central Asian countries, independent of Russian power, independent of Chinese power, right? But the best way to make them independent is to build Western pipeline, alternative pipeline, because energy exports are very critical to these countries. So Americans discovered very early, right? Very early that most important thing for this region is to build alternative pipeline. And later, this region, Central Asia, is becoming important from U.S. perspective because these are military, like right, transshipment route, right? In engaging wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, right? They see the value of this region as military shipping routes, right? And Eurasia, including Russia, is important for global oil market. That's another thing for, why Americans think that Central Asia is important, because the amount of oil they produce and export is quite sizable, right? 2.5 million barrel is enough to make or break oil prices. So it's important for global oil market. And many American companies are involved in this region. So America has commercial interest. Then what is Russian energy interest? Russian energy strategy. Russia thinks that Russia is still tied to European countries, despite the fact that Russia is looking east, right? Asian market, but still Russia will be continue to be tied to European countries. So Russian strategy is to defend the current Russian position in Europe and Central Asia. The Russians don't want to lose privileges here. Right? So Russia is seeking support from Russian sort of partners in European countries, BP, Eni, Statoil. Russia seeking support from these companies. Their support is important to maintain Russian interests in Europe and Central Asia. And Ukraine is a problem for Russia. Since 2006, Ukraine is a problem, posing challenges. So very early on, Russia decided to build like a bypassing pipeline. The first thing that materialized was Nord Stream. Open 2012, Nord Stream already talking about a third line. There are third line open, Nord Stream. Although the problem is, after shale revolution, even these two lines of Nord Stream are not fully used. They can't fill the capacity, the two lines of Nord Stream, right? But the third line open, and they are discussing, Russians are discussing, extend it to the UK market. In Eastern Europe, Russian grip is very strong, right? Only source. Eastern European countries, Russian natural gas is the only source. So probably the region that Russia doesn't want to lose, right? Is Eastern Europe, right? And to maintain Russian power in Eastern Europe, South Stream is being planned. 63 BCM, right? If Russia loses South Stream, loses in southeastern Europe, that's the end of Russian power. Now, this map shows the general energy relations in this region, Europe, Central Asia, and South Asia. So these are all, whole complex, like Europe, Central Asia, South Asia, Middle East. These are all connected complex of regions. Like for instance here, if you look at here, Azerbaijan. We talk a lot about Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan mostly looking to Western countries, right? Western countries. Particularly TAP and TANAP is evolving very quickly. Azerbaijan is emerging as a major gas source for Western European countries, right? So moving through Georgia, Turkey, Western Europe and Southern Europe, right? Both directions. This opened first. Balkan, Southeastern Europe opened first. TAP, because of TAP, right? Then later, Western European section will be added, right? So this opened first. Now, the question about this, Turkmenistan. The remaining question for Europeans is, Azerbaijan is secured, okay? Azerbaijan is secured. There were a lot of pressures from Russia. Russia was putting a lot of pressure on Azerbaijan, right? Don't open connections to Europe. That was Russian pressure. But Azerbaijan, because of Turkey, right? Azer-Turkey relationship, they are brother relations, right? Because of these Azer-Turkey relations, Azerbaijan was connected to Western Europe rather than Russia. But how about the remaining question is, can Turkmen be linked to Azerbaijan all the way to Western Europe? This is the remaining question, right? And this is the question Europeans asking Turkmenistan. Can you join here? Western Europeans asking Turkmenistan, can you join here? But before Turkmenistan joins this Western pipeline, one thing must be solved, which is you need to build undersea pipeline linking to Azerbaijan. What is this called? This is called TCGP. This is called TCGP, linking Turkmenistan to Azerbaijan. If this is linked, right, this will be a huge success for Europeans. If Turkmenistan, even Turkmenistan is linked. Because Turkmenistan, like you saw, a lot of natural gas. But this has not been resolved yet, TCGP. Trans-Caspian gas pipeline, TCGP. TCGP has not been resolved yet. Only possibility. Instead, Turkmen is building this one first. Turkmen, China. You will see. I mean, this map doesn't have it, but Turkmen is building this pipeline first before they build this one. Right? This shows the traditional Russian Central Asian pipeline. Turkmen natural gas moving two directions, two pipelines linking up to Russia. This one or this one. This is the old pipeline. Still moving, still working. Right? So Turkmen provides many directions, like Russia, right? And this is Kazakhstan, China. So we'll see much more detail. Kazakh, China. Since Kazakh produce oil, Kazakh-China oil relations. You know better than I do, right? You know better than I do.
Yes, after our city.
So Kazakh oil is produced here. This is Tengiz. This is Tengiz. Chevron came here, 1991, and they formed TCO, joint venture company, Tengiz Chevron, produce oil since 1991. And this oil, since 1991, produced and exported this way, mostly. This way. If you go this way, where you go? You go this way, go to Russian port, Black Sea Russian port. So most Kazakh oil was moved through this pipeline, reaching Black Sea port, Russia, then exported. Right? But this eastern Kazakh oil pipeline is alternative pipeline. Kazakhstan thought export only to Russia is dangerous for Kazakhstan. So they began to discuss building pipeline to China, right here. But in order to get to China, you need to build a long, long pipeline here, like this way. First here, both sides collect, move down, stage one. Here, stage 2, stage 3. This is Kazakh-China oil pipeline. Now, this is Turkmenistan. Turkmenistan. Oh. Now, this is Caspian Sea. This is Caspian Sea. Natural gas is produced onshore, offshore, but mostly onshore. Here or here, right? Natural gas produced here and here. Then the original pipeline that is provided to Russia, most Turkmen gas was provided to Russia, move either this way. What is this called? This is called pre-Caspian pipeline. This is pre-Caspian pipeline. Or this way. This is Turkmen, how Turkmen gas was provided to Russia. Either this one or this one. Right? This is the only exit for Turkmen gas. Right? And Turkmenistan exported their natural gas to Russia. Right? Then Russia collected Turkmenistan gas. Then Russia sold it to Europe on behalf of Turkmenistan. This was the past arrangement, right? So Turkmenistan lost a lot of money because of this, right? Because of this. So now Turkmen thinks that why don't we build a pipeline, like I said, either this way, linking to Azerbaijan, selling directly to European countries, bypassing Russia, right? Or selling directly to China. Again, Russia doesn't want it. Russia doesn't like it, putting a lot of pressure on Turkmenistan, right? So this way, Turkmen linking, but in order to link to China, Turkmen must pass two countries. First Uzbek, then Kazakh, then reaching China, right? So Turkmen-China pipeline is actually Turkmen, Uzbek, Kazakh, China pipeline. Right? This is how Turkmen is building pipeline all the way to China. This is Russia pipeline. This is Russia pipeline. Again, right? Again, this shows how Russia collected Turkmen natural gas in the past. Russia collected Turkmen pipeline this way, right? Either this way or this way. And this is called pre-Caspian gas pipeline. And this is called Central Asia Center gas pipeline. Right. Now, then we have TAP and TANAP. TAP is built by BP and Statoil, Norway and the UK. TAP is linking Azerbaijan natural gas to Italy. That's TAP. This is TAP. Trans-Adriatic pipeline. Right? Azer, Turkey, Italy. TANAP is Azerbaijan, Turkey. TANAP, right? To 2013, 6 BCM. Begins with small size, and 10 BCM to 2020. Once reaching Turkey, adding 10 more, right? What's the source? Source gas is Shah Deniz natural gas field. But second stage, Shah Deniz first stage developed in the past. Second stage, Shah Deniz 2. And 2026, it's expandable. We are looking at much more natural gas, 30 BCM. And connecting also to BT, Baku, Tbilisi, Erzurum. June 2013, right? June 2013, TANAP, it was decided, TANAP will connect to TAP rather than Nabucco, right? Rather than Nabucco. But TANAP, TAP viability will be decided by political stability in transit countries. Very important. So what is Russian strategy? Russian strategy to fail this pipeline to make a lot of troubles in these countries, like Ukraine and every country, right? Georgia, Russia, right, invaded Georgia. What is it? Why? 2008, just to destabilize this region, to fail Western pipelines. Because Western pipelines transit Georgia, right? So Russia invaded Georgia. Right? Russia invaded Ukraine because Ukraine, you have a lot of Western oil and gas companies, right? Coming into Ukraine to develop shale gas, right? This is TANAP. This is TANAP. And June 2013, Statoil let this consortium, TAP consortium, win, connecting to TANAP rather than Nabucco West. So this will be done later. This decided first, right? But like I said, this is a very unstable region. This must pass this region. Russia is still controlling this region. Again, this is another way of looking at it, right? This is old Nabucco plan. Old Nabucco. TCGP, this is TCGP, undersea pipeline. Undersea Trans-Caspian gas pipeline linking Turkmen, Azerbaijan, and Western pipeline. Connecting Turkmenistan to Western market through Azerbaijan. This is TCGP. TCGP is delayed. Nothing decided. This idea was first promoted by the US. Early 1990s. But throughout the 1990s, no progress because of the opposition of the then President Niyazov. But Niyazov passed away. Then new president, his name is very long, like what's his name? Since 2007, Niyazov died 2007. Then successor came in. His name is Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov, right? Berdimuhamedov. Berdimuhamedov succeeded. Then he is more open door, right? He's more open door. So that Berdimuhamedov began to negotiate with European partners and China. But China-Turkmen negotiation came to fruition first, right? Very quickly developed. So China-Turkmen pipeline opened 2011. Gas pipeline opened. And there was a huge gas field developed, gas field discovered. This gas field is called Second largest gas field was discovered in Turkmenistan, Galkynish gas field. Formerly, this was called different name. What was the name? They renamed it. So again, Turkmen gas is very important because Turkmen gas can feed Western market, also South Asian market. Americans think, Europeans think that Turkmen gas is important for Western market, but Americans think Turkmenistan gas should be fed into South Asian market. This is American perspectives. South Asian market like Pakistan, India, these countries are important for Americans. Americans think that they are provided with Iranian natural gas, right? So to bring peace to South Asia, they have to cut Iranian supply to South Asia. Instead, this Central Asian Turkmen gas must be supplied to South Asia. Or Central Asia, South Asia must be merged. That's American plan. What is this pipeline called? This pipeline is called TAPI. Turkmen, Afghan, Pakistan, India. America endorsed this pipeline for several reasons. Number one reason is to support Afghanistan. Right? Second, India-Pakistan, alternative Iranian pipeline. And regional cooperation, promote regional cooperation, South Asia. This is how Turkmen gas moved down to South Asia. Here, Dawletabad gas field, right? Dawletabad gas field, move here. Southern part of Turkmenistan, right? Then move this way through Afghan, right? Afghan, this way, Pakistan, India. Better than this one. This is TAPI. Under Obama, TAPI is emerging again. TAPI discussion rising again. So you might want to look into what's going on between these countries over TAPI idea. South Stream. Russian pipeline, South Stream, is an alternative pipeline from Russian perspective, alternative to Ukraine, right? If South Stream realizes Ukraine, the biggest hit by South Stream. Like for instance, 2011, 70% of Russian gas transited Ukraine, but 2012 decreased 20% already due to Nord Stream and others. And then Russia asking for higher natural gas or the debts, right? And Russia also can ship natural gas across Belarus, right? This is South Stream. Here. Either this way, this way. Right? South Stream. According to plan, supposed to operate 2018. So South Stream, Nabucco, they are contending pipelines in this region. So I'll see you back on Monday. Monday, chapter 9. We'll shift to Arctic resources. All right, see you Monday.